Booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. I have quite a few things to talk to you about today as far as what I've been reading. I did some March mystery madness recommendations last Friday, and this Friday I thought I'd talk about some middle grade books that I absolutely love. But before we get there, I recognize that there are major world events at play, and my heart sincerely goes out to the people of Ukraine. I know people who are watching the news constantly, and maybe Booktube is a way to step away from that for a minute and think about something else. I'm aware that like a Friday Reads video is pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but I'm just gonna keep moving on. And yeah. Okay, so I made a shout out video on Tuesday, and again, I think maybe world events, I don't know, drowned it out or whatever. Or like some of you told me that all of the channels that I shouted out, you already subscribed to, which is great. So there are way more of you subscribed to this channel that could have possibly gone to those other channels. So I would love to hear from you. If you don't have a channel and there's a channel that you really love that you think deserves more attention, please let me know in the comment section. I love engaging with you in the comment section. If you've never left a comment, like maybe today is a good day to start. You can also leave me an emoji or give this video a thumbs up. So I am just gonna keep on marching on with shout outs. So the first channel, excuse me, that I want to shout out is Ursula's Odds and Sods. Ursula has been on BookTube/AuthorTube since probably like August or September, I believe. She's done a lot of stuff about Dante's Divine Comedy, and I get the sense from her that she really wants her channel to grow. She was talking about when she reaches 100 subscribers, she's gonna do something related to the Decameron, which is fascinating and I think could produce some really interesting content. She has a lot of ideas. So if you'd please go check out Ursula's channel. And Ursula, I just want to say to you, if you're watching, like, we all start small. Yeah, like it's just you do you and make the videos that you love. And that's really, at the end of the day, like the most important thing. There's a lot of numbers with YouTube. But anyway, so the rest of you, please join me in saying hello to Ursula if you haven't already, and welcoming her to our community. Another channel I wanted to shout out is Michelle's Library. Michelle has been on BookTube for about 3.5 years. And I think when she started, she was reading primarily YA, and recently has felt like that has kind of boxed her in. And so she wants to kind of break away from that a little bit. I'm assuming that she still will talk about some YA books in the future, but wants to focus on some other books, some other things aside from YA. So, and Michelle, I think you're subscribed to my channel, but I don't know if I've ever heard from you. So hi, and like, say hello down below. And finally, and I don't know her first name, I feel terrible. I wanted to shout out Storm Reads. She's one of the hosts of March Mystery Madness. But she recently did a reading vlog and was holding up Morning Glory by Laverell Spencer, which, wow, I haven't read that book for so long, but Laverell Spencer, wow, I read so many of her books. So it was great. I always love it when you see like a book that just doesn't, or an author that doesn't get a lot of attention or doesn't get talked about a lot on BookTube. So Anyway, like I said, I believe she's one of the hosts for March Mystery Madness, so that's kind of consuming her world at the moment. But again, I just wanted to say hello to her and thank her for watching my channel. All right, so what have I been reading? I finished this before we were actually in March, but I read Constance, A Story of Early Plymouth by Patricia Clapp, and I felt bad because somebody on Goodreads left a comment on my review about like how they were going to try to find a copy of it, and I wish I felt like it was worth the postage to mail this, but it's so beat up. I may put it in a free library. I have to say, I admit that I don't know very much about Plymouth Plantation, but I felt like as far as historical fiction for young people, that this book held up really well. Not the physical book, but the story. It's good. It's a good story. I was particularly paying attention to the portrayal of Native Americans in the book, and I felt like yes, it was acceptable for Constance to be afraid of Native Americans until she actually got to know some of them, and one of them becomes like her dear friend. This book follows her from the time she's on a ship with her family, coming to the future America. She's 14, I think, at the beginning of the book, and she's 20 at the end. But I just thought, again, as far as historical fiction, I thought it was great. I still really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. For a book that I read when I was probably in middle school, I mean, I really still enjoyed it. There's a little romance in there, and but not too much. So even though it ends when she's 20, I still think it's totally appropriate for middle grade. Okay, so the rest of my time I have spent reading my mammoth thus far in March. So I am reading Dombey and Son by Charles Dickens with Joe Smith. This is our 3rd year of reading Dickens for March of the Mammoths. And Dombey and Son is one of those Dickens books that I honestly, no idea what the book was about going into it. It's so good. Is this like his underappreciated masterpiece? And I realize I have a long way to go. I mean, it's probably not going to surpass Bleak House, but I already feel so connected to some of the characters, and oh my gosh, there's just some really great stuff. I wanted to read something to you guys. I'm not giving anything away, I promise. There's a character, Paul, and he has an older sister, Florence. Paul is going to a school and he's not doing very well, and so Florence saved up her money and had an adult go and buy the same books that Paul is studying from, and because she's older, she can kind of catch up and pass him, and so she can help him with his studies. But the way Dickens describes it, let's see. So this is after she gets the school books. Dickens writes, "With these treasures then, after her own daily lessons were over, Florence sat down at night to track Paul's footsteps through the thorny ways of learning, and being possessed of a naturally quick and sound capacity, and taught by that most powerful of masters, love, it was not long before she gained upon Paul's heels and caught and passed him." She loves her brother so much. Their relationship is so close, and she just wants to help him, and that's what drives her to read about these things that probably most women in Victorian England wouldn't necessarily be studying. But anyway, so I am let's see, where am I at? I've read 170 pages so far. I'm hoping to read more today and tomorrow. But I definitely do want to start this weekend on one of my other books. I'm not sure which one. Maybe the Agatha Christie or one of the middle grade books this weekend. But I'm just really, really loving this and wanting to spend a lot of time with this book. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, I hope it stays at that level. And I'll just show you my little my spreadsheet. So you can see there's Constance, and so I finished that one. And I realized I cheated. I started before March. But anyway, so there's been my page progress, and hopefully next Friday there'll be more. Like it'll be much more fleshed out, or a little more fleshed out at any rate. Okay, so it's March, which means we have a million events, including middle grade March. Once upon a time, I spent a lot of time reading YA and middle grade books and picture books because that was my job at Barnes & Noble, was to sell books to teachers and librarians. And really, it forced me to do... to spend a lot of time reading. Although I do have to say, at least one of the books in this pile that I'm going to show you is a book from my own childhood that I want to reread it, but I feel I can't imagine letting it go. But the first, and this is a series, I wanted to share with you the Chronicles of Prydain by Lloyd Alexander. I think people get thrown off because the first book in the series is the Book of Three. But in this series of books, okay, so I feel like the first book was nominated for something, but I could be wrong. But the second book, The Black Cauldron, was a Newbery Honor book. And then the fifth book, The High King, won the Newbery. These are great. I really, really enjoyed reading these books, and I read them as an adult. I read them when we were at Barnes & Noble, and then eventually decided they had to be... I looked around at some used bookstores for a while, and I couldn't find anything that was really in the condition that I wanted it to be. I wanted them to all be like the same, if that makes sense. But yeah, these are really wonderful kind of fantasy books for middle grade readers. And I think the covers are super beautiful too. So, the next book is my childhood book. Okay, so I read Mara, Daughter of the Nile by Eloise Jarvis McGraw. I read this book in 7th grade, and the reason why I remember it is because I remember my teacher, Mrs. Williams. I was so obsessed and caught up in this book that we had our textbooks open, and I just put this book inside the textbook, and I was just reading my book. Everyone else in the class is reading the assigned reading from the textbook, and my teacher walks by, and this is why I loved her. She walked by me, picked this up, looked at it, and then put it back down in the middle of the textbook. Now, I did have to do a follow-up quiz on that story that I was supposed to have read, which I seem to remember that wasn't very successful. But I was transported to ancient Egypt, and I just thought this was a great read when I was in 7th grade. So again, time to revisit it, see how it holds up, but probably not this month. Another book, and I think I have talked about this book on my channel before, that I love is Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. I think the world would be a better place if every young person read this book. I believe it was made into a film, but it's kind of one of those things, like, I have no desire. I have no desire to watch it because the book is so strong. The voice is so strong of the characters. It's essentially about a girl who's different, who cares about other people, but not to the extent that she is obsessed about what they think of her. There's a sequel to it called Love, Stargirl. Do not read it. Don't do it. I was really excited when that came out, and it wasn't worth it. Like, this he just should have just stuck with this. So anyway, this is a great book, middle grade or YA, I think. I would recommend anything by Kate DiCamillo. She's written many glorious books. The last one I think that I read was Flora and Ulysses, which is part book, part graphic novel. It's about like a squirrel who develops superpowers. It was made into a film that I did see. This is probably the book that really made Kate DiCamillo so famous, The Tale of Despereaux. And again, this one's been made into a movie as well, but I haven't seen it. But anything by her, I think she's really great at challenging readers. Like, oh, you don't, like, I mean, I feel like in this book itself, like, there's a moment where she says like, the author speaks to the reader and says, if you don't know what that word means, you need to look it up. Like you need to go to a dictionary. I love that about her, that she's not afraid to challenge young people, and I think she appreciates the fact that young people are capable of often more than we give them credit for. And then finally, I just have to say, the Betsy-Tacy series. These are the first 4 novels. The series goes on from here, but I love, I mean, Maud Hart Lovelace, like some of her other books, like Emily of Deep Valley. Oh my gosh, such a great book, which is not part of this series. But anyway, so I mean, this is about, you know, girls growing up, girls making friendships. Betsy and Tacy, and then later Tib, are great friends, and it's really about yeah, the whole series is about them growing up. I think the last book in the series is Betsy's wedding. So those would be some of my recommendations for middle grade March. I'd love to hear about how is your March reading going? What are some of your favorite middle grade books? Or what have you been spending the last week, or what do you plan on reading this weekend? So it feels like everyone's participating in at least one event. Yeah, but I look forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comment section below. I also want to let you know, I lost my mind, you guys, and I spent that eBay gift certificate, and I have a massive haul video. Now, when I say massive, I'm not talking like on the level of some other channels, but I don't do haul videos very often because there is no room. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought all these books, because yeah, there's no room for them anywhere, but for my channel, this is maybe the biggest haul I've ever done. So that's coming this weekend. Until then, I need to get some sleep. I need to crash. So thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to be kind to yourself. Ursula, be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And BookTube, I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.